Hello guys, what's up? Welcome to the new tutorial from the SketchUp Studio. Today I'm going to show you how you can create some realistic render in the Enscape environment. So at the industrial renderings, the most and important point is that you must check all the materials in your environment. For this reason, I'm going to start my job with the Enscape material editor, and I'm going to click on the paint bucket on the SketchUp environment. So I'm going to click on the sample paint and I'm going to start my job with the this car's body. So I'm going to click on it in here, and dark orange is my material. So if I want to reduce the roughness, as you can see, the reflections on my surface will increase immediately. So I'm going to type 10% in here for the roughness, and if you want some sharp reflections, you can convert it to the 0. And the Metallica, when I increase it to the 100, as you can see, the color has been changed and completely convert to the Metallica color. So some number about 46% is really good, and the specular helps you to manage your brightness on your different surfaces with the light reflection. So I increase the specular a little bit as I can. Look at these places in here. As you can see, when I increase the specular, some type of brightness on my surface will be increased. So 56% is good, and Metallica is about 36. Alright, everything is good. You can change the color's main body from here. For example, some type of gray, full black, or other type of things, as you can see. For example, pink or other type of colors. But I prefer to use advanced mode in here and type 250 for here, 40 for here, and the 30 for here. Some type of color like that is really wonderful, and you can see these codes in here as you can see in this tutorial. So I'm going to click on the sample paint in here again, double times and third time. So I'm going to click on these rims in here. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to completely change the color. Some type of color like dark gray can be really good. And the roughness is about 0. And the Metallica is about 46. And the specular is about 66%. Now I'm going to click on the sample paint again. But this time I'm going to select the car's glass and window. So I'm going to click on the window in here. Crackle number 1 is my window ID. So I'm gonna click on the roughness and decrease it as I can, because I need some more reflections on my windows. As you can see, when I increase the roughness, you can see the changes in here. Reflection will be reduced completely. So I prefer to use roughness about 0%. The specular is not important here, but opacity is really important. So I'm going to decrease the opacity a little bit, and as you can see now we have some type of reflective glass in this place. Some number about 10% is really good. About 10% is really good, and your refractive index helps you to manage how much ray will be defined on your surface. So some number about 1 is good, and I want to use frosted glasses in here. When I increase the opacity a little bit, for example 36%, you can see the details, and inside of the house, inside of the car get a little bit blur in here. So I'm going to click on the sample paint another time, like that. But this time I'm going to select these rims in here. So when I click on it, as you can see, this place, look at these surface in here. When I decrease the roughness about 0 and increase the Metallica about 46 and the specular about 66, as you can see, the changes in here is really wonderful. So I'm going to click on the sample paint another time. This time I'm going to work on the tires. So I click on the tire face, light coral is my material ID, and the roughness is about, for example, 76%. And the specular is about 26, and Metallica is not really good for these type of materials, because for the tires we usually see different type of dirt and dust. So this material is good in here, so I'm going to click on the sample paint another time and in here. So I'm gonna go inside this light and turn it on, but how I can do this work? So look at these light in here. Now it's off and it's not realistic at all. So I'm gonna move inside the car's light. I'm gonna pick this color up and change the type from generic to the self-illuminate. As you can see, the change happened very fast and easy. But I want to reduce it a little bit, about 1000 candela. And we have another important light in here. I'm going to click on the sample paint. And this light is really important in here. You can see it on the render. When I click on it and change it to the self-illuminate, another light will be added to my environment. But we can see it because inside this light is really bright. And now I'm gonna click on the this glass in here. I'm gonna click on the sample paint, pick this glass up, and if I increase the opacity, what will happen? As you can see, the light will be fade and the glass will provide the lighting. So I want to change it to the 20%. And reflective in the sky, I'm going to increase it a little bit, about 2. And the tint color is not really important, but you can change it, for example, to the tomato color. As you can see, we have some tomato tint in this place, but don't do this job because it's not realistic at all. And I think everything is done right now. So I'm going to click on the material number 2. And when I increase the luminance, as you can see in here, we will have much energetic light in this place. But don't add some type of high values because it completely exits your render from the realistic things. So everything is done right now. At the back side, we have this material too. So I'm going to click on the light number 1, the ID of this surface, and convert it to a self-illuminate. Like that. As you can see, it completely changed to the light, and I can decrease it to the 1600 candela. So everything is good for me right now. So I'm going to click on the F on my keyboard, click on the Porsche 911, and this is my main camera shot. So materializing is over. Now I'm going to maximize my screen in here. I'm going to click on the visual setting. I'm going to use the high rendering quality. And first of all, I'm going to try to turn off my auto exposure. When I turn off the auto exposure, now I can change my exposure manually. So some number about 68% is really good. And when I decrease the field of view, some number like that, as you can see, about 34 degrees is really good. So I'm going to click on the depth of field. And I'm going to play with the focal point to reach to the best result. Some place like that is really good for the focusing point. And I'm going to type the distance for it, about 7.18 meter. And the depth of field is about 10%. So I go to the image bar in here. I'm going to use the auto contrast for auto control of the lights and shadows. And the color temperature, I can decrease it a little bit to have some warm result in my total render. And if I decrease the saturation, as you can see, we will have some type of artistic black and white render. So I increase the saturation a little bit, about 104%. Motion is the 0, lens flare is really important, but how I can activate it in this render? When I increase the bloom option, you can see some type of faded mists around your lights. So I'm going to type some number about 22%, and when I increase the lens flare a little bit, I will see some type of small details and changes in my environment. But The angle of the camera is really important. For example, if I orbit and change to the main face of the car, you can see the lens flare in here. And when I increase the lens flare, you can see it much better than this type of angles. So I'm going to click on the Enscape. I will come back to my main camera shot and reduce the lens flare to the 46%. Now it's much better. So I'm going to move this visual setting bar in here. Everything is good. I'm going to increase the vignette about 44% and chromatic abbreviation is about 0. So I'm going to click on the atmosphere. Sun brightness is 0, night sky brightness is 0, and I only have the artificial lights power in my environment. So shadow sharpness is 0 at all because it's some type of interior render in the parking lot. And the artificial light brightness must be increased a little bit, 114%. Or maybe it's a little bit too high for it, 106%. And the ambient brightness is 58%. And the skybox. The sky is not really important in this place, and output on the full HD. And I think everything is done for me. I want to save it as the PNG file. Everything is done in here, and increase the rendering quality to the ultra. As you can see, when you increase the rendering quality to the ultra, we have some simple small changes in our environment. For example, this place gets a little bit much brighter than the other places. It depends on the light calculation and your Enscape power. So 64% can be really good, or 66% can be really normal for this job. And I think everything is done for me right now. So I'm going to minimize the Enscape. I'm going to select dark orange another time, click on the Enscape material editor, dark orange, and I think I can improve this material a little bit. So when I increase the roughness, as you can see, we will have some type of matte color, but I prefer to use 8% for it, and the Metallica is about 40%. I can change the car's color to the white or full black. It completely depends on you. So I prefer to use some type of specialized color like the red. So this code is the best code I can use for this RGB project. 250 for the red channel, 40 for the green channel, and 30 for the blue channel. Some type of red orange color in here, and everything is done for me right now. I'm going to decrease the roughness to the 0 and specular to the 70%. Everything is done for me right now, and I only want to render this job. So I press Shift and F11, and I'm going to save it in my environment with the Enscape default name. As you can see, it takes a little bit time, and your render will be get ready after a second, and Enscape is really wonderful. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks for your watching. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel if you like this video. Every week we have some new tutorials about rendering and 3D modeling, so subscribe us for more videos. Thanks for your watching, and goodbye.